In this video, we're going to be taking a look at creating an EasyCut file of the Swim Mom design here. And this is actually one of our designs, but it was posted uh, in a Facebook group, and they wanted a vinyl cut version of this. And I just wanted to show this is a good entry-level project for those of you who are not solid with CorelDRAW to give this one a shot because it's super easy to do. And I just want to kind of show you some different techniques of things you can do and kind of teach you a little bit of what's going on here. So we'll go ahead and come over here to our Specialty tab and lock this image first of all so we can't accidentally move it. And we'll start here with our head because it's probably the most basic shape. We're going to grab our 3-point curve tool and just kind of follow along. Now, because we're using existing artwork, we just need to kind of, you don't have to have it exact, I guess is what I'm saying. Just kind of use the artwork as a guide. Now we're going to hover over this end node, what they call a node, and then we can connect to that original line that we drew, and then we'll just kind of do something like that. So you can see we created 1, 2, 3 nodes for that basic shape. Now the next thing we'll go, of course, then we'll go on to our next piece, which is the arm. So we go ahead from point to point and to point. And that 3-point curve tool, I love that tool because it's so simple to use even for a beginner. It's really super easy to use. So again, we'll pull and drag. Now you see here how this right here didn't get perfect. Well, what we can do is we can grab our shape tool here, and if you click on that end node, then you get these control handles and we can make it perfect. So see how now it's really simple. Just play with this a little bit, figure out what, pulling and tugging and what happens to the curve, when you make certain movements with those control handles. Now we'll go back to our 3-point curve and continue on our way. So you can see, there you go. And then here we could switch to, because that is a straight line, we could switch to our 2-point line tool just to create that 2-point line, and then we could switch back to our 3-point curve tool. So we'll do here, and then we'll do here. Like so. See? That's easy, right? So we'll go ahead and fill that shape, and we'll go ahead and fill that shape. All right, so now what do you want to do for this line down here? Well, for the line, I want to show you just another technique. I wouldn't necessarily do it this way, typically, but I just want to show you another technique. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag a straight line. So from this side to this side, we're just going to draw a straight line. Let's go ahead and give it a color so you can see it a little bit. And what I want to do now is switch to my shape tool, and I want to hover over it. Now watch that, see that cursor switch to that little squiggly line. Right click on that and choose to curve. And what that allow you to do is that allow you to hover over the design and drag it. You see that? So now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and grab our node, and that will give us our control handles that we can then manipulate. And what I want you to do is play with these control handles a little bit. So you can see how we can kind of bend this curve just like so. Now what we can't do is this wave here goes up and down and back up. So we can't do that with just these 2 nodes. So what we're going to do is we're just going to double click along the line, and we're going to place another control point. And so now I can manipulate just this one section here. So maybe sometimes we'll have to move our control points around a little bit to be able to shape our curve the way we want to. Now I do want to show you something else, okay? Something else that you need to understand when to use it, when not to use it. If we right click over a node, you can see we have some options. Now you notice that smooth is grayed out. Most typically you're going to either use a smooth node or a cusp node. Not so much symmetrical. All right, well, let me explain to you what a smooth node is. If we make an adjustment here to the left, watch what happens. We have a smooth transition to the right. Now if we change that to a cusp, Well, then what we're going to do, of course, is we're going to modify the left, but notice the right does not move. All right, and sometimes that's useful, and sometimes that's not so useful. In this case, I actually think it might actually be useful because it gives us just a little bit more control and get this exactly the way we want to. So what I'm going to try and do is follow the center gap in those stones as closely as I can. Not that it's that critical, but so we'll go ahead and click there. We'll double click and we'll add another control node. So if you look at where these control nodes are, the curve goes this direction, control node, because now the curve's going in the opposite direction, control node, because now the curve is going in this direction. And for this last segment, because it's just an up down, we don't need another control node where this goes up. We can probably control it with these nodes. So let's just go ahead and position this where we need to. Now you can see once we made the change here, it also made the change here. So I'm going to actually change that to a cusp. Now I should point out too, if we select a curve or many curves, or excuse me, not curves, but nodes. If we select a node or many nodes, we do have the option to change to a smooth node, change to a symmetrical node. It is already a cusp node, and so sometimes that's convenient. Change everything over to cusp because it gives us a little bit more control in that way. So remember I said from here we could probably just manipulate this curve to what we want, because we can pull this without affecting this back here, and we can pull this and just get it right in line. All right, so once we have that, then what I would do is I would extract this and pull it out all by itself and take a gander at it. Now we did it pretty good. As you can see here, this line is pretty darn smooth, but there is just a little tickle right there, right? That little tiny tickle. Well, if we right click on that and then smooth the node, once we kind of get it perfect and then choose smooth, then it will kind of, you can see now it's perfectly smooth. There's a little tickle right there too. So we'll change that to a smooth node as well, and that will just make a tiny little adjustment, and then you can see it is nice and smooth. There's nothing that has any type of point to it or not. And so we should take a look at this and do the same thing here. We'll right click and choose the smooth node there too. Here we could as well right click and choose smooth. That's another option. Sometimes when I'm smoothing, sometimes what I'll do is I'll actually add a node on either side, then just delete the middle by double clicking. So we're going to double click to add a node and double click to take one away. And you can see that smoothed that out really nice. I think this is okay. We'll do no fill color here. Just right click on that. And sorry, no outline color, leaving the fill. All right, so that takes care of that. So now this is shaping up pretty good. So now all we need to do is come in here and give this some type of thickness. Now what kind of thickness does it need? Well, it needs a bunch. So let's try 30. Okay, well, maybe not that much. So maybe what we'll try is, based on that, let's try 10. And what I didn't do is I didn't resize this to its finished size, which is probably going to be somewhere, I don't know, around 9 inches or so. And so now you can see if we go back and use that 30 thickness with our outline pen tool here, that's probably not half bad as far as the thickness goes. We can actually move it down a little bit here if we want to. Whatever you want to do there. Pretty flexible. Now, the next thing we need to do, of course, is we need to look at this in wireframe mode, because that's what's cutting. And you can see our curve down here. Everything else looks good but our curve, and that's because we need to convert the curve, right? Convert outline to object, and now we have our thickness for cutting, and now we're ready to go. So that is your EasyCut file. So we'll go ahead and throw a weed box around it, and that's a done deal. So we could go ahead and change that to blue, and we can change that to, like doing silver or whatever you want to do. We'll add our swim mom text in whatever font you like, and that's really all there is to creating that little figure. So this, again, good little starter project, good use of some basic tools, the shape tool, adding nodes, looking at nodes, are they smooth nodes, cusp nodes, and being able to kind of manipulate the vector the way you like. So I hope you learned a little something with this one, and thanks for watching.